Benito Mussolini was obsessed with ancient Rome. The fascist party, famously, was named after the Roman fasces, the bundles of rods and axes carried by the lictors. And Mussolini explicitly sought to revive the Roman Empire with his invasions of Albania and Ethiopia. In Rome, his capital, he sought to evoke the glories of antiquity, both by uncovering ancient ruins and by creating new buildings and spaces that recalled the ancient world. This is Piazza Venezia, one of Rome's busiest intersections, now being torn up for the construction of Metro Line C. The piazza gained its current shape at the beginning of the 20th century, with the construction of the colossal Vittoriano monument. But it became notorious a few decades later, when Mussolini established his headquarters in the Renaissance Palazzo di Venezia. It was from the balcony at the center of the facade that he delivered many of his most famous speeches to huge crowds in the piazza. This building, and the piazza beneath it, became a nodal point in Mussolini's transformation of the city. Shortly after he seized power, Mussolini ordered the construction of a grand boulevard between the Piazza Venezia and the Colosseum. Called the Via del Impero, the Street of the Empire, it's now the Via dei Fori Imperiali, since it runs through the forums that Julius Caesar and a series of early emperors built to enlarge the Roman Forum. The imperial forums were cleared on Mussolini's orders, a process that involved demolishing hundreds of medieval and Renaissance buildings. At the same time, the Curia, just to our right, was restored. The excavations were hasty and incomplete to allow the road to be completed by October 1932, the 10th anniversary of Mussolini's march on Rome. The area has changed little since. In fact, you can still see the statues of emperors set up along the way, all dated to the 10th or 11th year of the fascist era. In the other direction, from the Piazza Venezia, Mussolini ordered the construction of the Via del Mare, Street of the Sea, now the Via del Teatro di Marcello. This street was driven along the base of the Capitoline Hill through a dense district, destroying many buildings. The ruins around the Theatre of Marcellus were stripped of later accretions and given a rough and ready restoration. A closer look at the Theatre of Marcellus. Here you can see the fascist symbol embedded in the brick wall of the restored section. Beside it is the church of San Nicola in Carcere, which was freed from the surrounding buildings by Mussolini to expose the Roman remains in the walls of the church. The most prominent new building in the area around the Theatre of Marcellus was the Palazzo dell'Anagrafe, the state registry office. The Latin inscription set into the facade can still be read. It dates the building to 1938, the 17th year since the renewal of the fasces, and is still dedicated to Benito Mussolini, Duce. From the Arch of Constantine to the Circus Maximus, between the Palatine and Caelian Hills, Mussolini drove yet another grand boulevard, the Via dei Triumphi, now the Via di San Gregorio. On the far side, he cleared the site of the Circus Maximus, then occupied by a dense industrial and residential district. The space thus opened was used for fascist rallies and other gatherings. We see the circus, here below, more or less as Mussolini left it, a vast open expanse, the ancient track still buried, but mirrored by the contours of the surface. Here, as throughout the center of Rome, our experience of the ruins is shaped by the fascist emphasis on grandeur above all else, including the texture of history that makes Rome so magical.